being more grateful for like the little things, and particularly like the physical things that maybe you take for granted, because you should not take them for granted. Realizing that those things are not beyond him or too little. There's nothing too small. All right. How's it going?
Hey, good. How you doing, Paul?
Good.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Just for our listeners who are new to us, I'm Scott Lyon. I'm the founder and CEO of Solace VR. And our mission is to reinvent spirituality for a digital age. So we're doing a lot of cool stuff in the metaverse and Web3 and talking about DAOs and how to kind of bring spirituality kicking and screaming into 2022. And my guest today is Paul Ramsey, who I got to know initially through sort of a Harvard Mafia as well as kind of a local church group. And I'm excited to have you on because Paul is a true up-and-comer, getting bigger and bigger responsibilities in the sales group over at Exxon, which most of you know probably from Taser days, which is where they got sort of their iconic start, but then since have gotten into a lot of other spaces and products and body cameras and gotten involved in, you know, more transparent policing and social justice and doing a lot of really cool, innovative things. And one of the reasons that I wanted Paul to come join us on the show is because he said something once that really struck a chord with me. And he said that I want to be more intentional about what I believe and what I do. And the example he used at the time was coming out of Harvard and feeling, we'll call it somewhat compelled, maybe socially, a little bit of virtue signaling maybe, to go to a soup kitchen out here in Arizona, right? And reflecting on that and thinking, you know, hey, I want to do better than that. I want to do things because they align with my beliefs and my values and things like that. And so, Paul, one of the reasons we've invited you to be on the show is because we're trying to profile thought leaders and innovators, people that have busy, demanding lives, particularly in the tech sector, right, where everything is moving so fast. Texts, emails, videos coming at you all day long. And if we've learned anything from COVID and the epidemic and remote work, it's that, you know, you got to have your A game today to be successful and effective and consistent. And A game just doesn't just mean that you can run a good meeting, but A game means that you have your mental health, and in this case, we believe your spiritual health tended to. And so one of the things I would love to ask you, Paul, is how do you roll? How do you integrate spirituality into your day-to-day life? How do you reach for that when you need it? Do you have like a daily regimen? Do you do 20 push-ups in the morning and then something else, or does it kind of dynamically expand? Or how does spirituality fit into your total life, your business life, your work life these days?
Yeah. I would say throughout the day, I think a big thing for me is prayer at meals, because you have to eat every day, right? And so I find that getting that, starting off each meal with a prayer means that I can never like go too long without making sure that I'm focusing in on my relationship with God. And I think that that's huge for me because, as you said, in the tech space, very fast moving, and I'll forget for 2-3 hours. A lot of phone calls, trying to make a deal, stuff, crazy stuff going on. But to collect my thoughts each time, I think that makes me more intentional about it.
So how do you do that? Is that like you're at Chipotle and you're standing in line and you're just kind of quietly riffing, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'd say before, like once I get my food, before like I eat, I like will take a moment, self-reflect, put my head down, and just one, be grateful for the food, but then also just kind of take a step back and think about my relationship with God.
And does that vary whether you're by yourself or with other people?
Yeah, I mean, I think that unfortunately it probably does a little bit. I'll be the first to admit. I'd say when I'm by myself, probably taking a little bit longer and a little bit more intentional versus if I'm with a few other people, maybe it's a little bit shorter. So always room, I think, to grow and improve there.
For sure. And do you have like kind of a script, like kind of what some people call a ritual prayer, or do you just kind of freebase it? Hey, it's breakfast, so I'm feeling this. Like, let's go with that.
I always think it starts off with just quickly being grateful for like what God has provided. But then around current events, whether in my life or something on the news, I'll also add that in after the fact.
And then when you think about gratitudes, do you tend to be more like abstract and aspirational? Are you thinking like, I'm glad there's peace in the world, sort of, air quotes? Or do you think like, I lost a pound at the gym this morning, that matters? Or like, what's your level of abstraction on that?
Yeah, I think it started out being a lot more abstract, and I think one of the things that has changed, and I'm trying to be more intentional about this as well, is being more grateful for like the little things,
Yeah.
and particularly like the physical things that maybe you take for granted, um, because you should not take them for granted, and like those things matter too to God. And that I think something like realizing that those things are not like beyond him or too little. There's nothing too small.
What advice would you have for other people in the tech space that are out of touch or disconnected or detached, don't even know necessarily where to start? Like Pew Reports comes out, less than 33% of millennials and Gen Z say they're affiliated with a church. Like I saw a lot of people who are doing this on the fly. They're kind of, it's like all DIY spirituality, kind of making it up as they go along. Like if you're like a hard charging marketing guy at Salesforce, what's the Paul Ramsey advice to even try to get things in balance?
Yeah, I'd say the first is I do think a routine and a ritual is critical. Um, whether it's starting the morning off with prayer, with reading a verse, or spending a meal, like something that you'll do each day. And I also think something that a mentor recently told to me is if you get out of that ritual, like don't lose hope or don't like give up or don't be like, man, I'm not sticking to the plan. It's like get up and fight the next day. Like keep grinding. And like don't let like your own inability to stick to that plan, like don't let that bother you. Just start the next day and keep working. So I'd say like rituals and routines, like they're hard to initially put in place and maybe do it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks and you fall off. But just because you fall off, like get back up the next week and keep going.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then before we go, you ready for 60 seconds?
Yes.
Okay, let me put the timer on and go. Where are you on cross-faith marriages? Do you think they're a thing? Do you think they can work? Do you think they should work? Should be avoided? What do you think?
I think that there's certain circumstances where I'm sure they could work, but it would be probably few and far between because I think you want to marry someone that you have similar worldviews with and might be tough in that scenario. But nothing against the concept.
Got it. And are you a yoga guy?
No.
Why not?
Too scared to get into it.
Okay. Would you rather, the Tokyo flight test, would you rather be on a plane for 2 hours with a hard charging Bible thumper or an atheist?
Atheist.
Why?
They would question me more, I think.
Okay, sounds good. Define karma.
Oof. I think that I do think like if you treat people well, you'll be treated well back, and if you don't, you will not be treated well back. So I think that people react to how you act.
You think karma's a thing? Is it real?
I think it's real.
Okay. Okay, sounds good, Paul Ramsey. Thank you as always for giving a few minutes of your time, and great to catch up, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
You as well.